Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Altman,
Here.
Councilmember Greeno,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Tinkler,
Here.
Mayor Wright.
Here. All right, pledge of allegiance. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, free and justice.
All righty, we got some ceremonial items. Mr. Weir. City Manager Weir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Wright, members of the council. So tonight is a very special night. Over the course of the year, the city council gets to give a lot of important proclamation. But tonight is the night that we get to honor one of our community members that is very deserving of this award, but it's an award that is in honor of Chief Wakefield. That's the Service Above Self Award. Chief Wakefield was dedicated beyond belief. He gave everything to this community. He responded to calls for decades for the fire department, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Always giving much more than he ever received, and probably more than he ever knew he was giving to the families that he served, to all the countless lives that he touched. In the end, Steve ended up having a massive medical emergency, which made him step down from being the fire chief in 2018. Steve was the first award recipient of this award, December 3rd, 2018. In April of 2019, he lost his battle. And every year since then, this council has given this award for service above self to a deserving community member. In 2019, it was given to the battalion chiefs that stepped up for the fire department, that stepped in to take on that role that Steve had so much pioneered and was there for this community. He stepped up without even hesitation. Those battalion chiefs were Battalion Chief Rook, Battalion Chief Gregorio, Battalion Chief Weiland, Battalion Chief Short, Division Chief Ryan Wakefield, and Assistant Chief Richard Weir. The next year in 2020, council honored David Soul's family with this award. David Soul was also a firefighter that for decades gave to this community, and unfortunately he lost his life as well. In 2021, right after we had made it through one of the toughest couple of years that our community has faced in a long time with COVID, this award was given to the public health nurses. Shelby Bodenstaff leading that team of nurses that helped this community through a very trying time. 2022 was given to Bill and Becky Barlow. Service Above Self definitely represents who they are and everything they give to the fire department and what they are able to give that makes the fire department what it is. In 2023, after going through the Smith River Fire Complex and having the honor of sitting with them in the EOC, the council honored Deborah Wakefield and Cindy Henderson for their tireless service day in, day out during that emergency that was so trying for all of us. Last year, we were able to give it to Michael Young. Mike not only has served this community with honor and dignity, but also countless others really across the world, giving his time and honoring what is service above self. And this year's recipient is no different. She has given so much to this community. I have had the honor, as well as several of us in this room today, of being able to sit with her through ESC, which is the Emergency Operations Center, and watching her help countless families, not only in those times, but in everyday disasters that our community faces. And so with that, Mayor, I will turn it back over to you for the proclamation.
All righty, here we go. Whereas the City Council of the City of Crescent City declared December 3rd, 2018 as Fire Chief Steve Wakefield Day in honor of his personal motto, Service Above Self, and proclaimed the first Monday of every December as Service Above Self Day. And whereas Chief Steve Wakefield began his career with the Crescent Fire and Rescue in 1976 as a volunteer firefighter and served his community in the fire department for a total of 42 years, holy cow, including 23 years as fire chief. Whereas Chief Wakefield was the primary driving force for joining the Crescent City Volunteer Fire Department and Crescent Fire Protection District volunteers as a unified group while maintaining exceptional service. And whereas Chief Wakefield led Crescent City Fire and Rescue administratively and operationally with an exceptional amount of pride and passion, always leading from his heart to meet the emergency response needs of the community it serves. And whereas Chief Wakefield was always responsive to each individual physical and emotional pain while also offering grace and mercy in their time of emergency. And whereas the city of Crescent City is grateful for the passion and dedication shown by Chief Wakefield for his many years of service. And whereas on April 26, 2019, Chief Wakefield lost his courageous battle and left an incredible legacy for all citizens of Crescent City and Del Norte County. And whereas in 2007, Mary Dorman became an American Red Cross board member and has increased her community involvement in the organization over the years to include community volunteer leader and liaison with the Del Norte County Emergency Operations Center. And whereas through her work with the American Red Cross, Ms. Dorman has been instrumental in assisting countless families affected by personal disasters, as well as community disasters such as the 2020 Slater Fire, the 2022 Rio Del earthquake, and the 2023 Six Rivers Complex Fire. And whereas Ms. Dorman is a home fire safety campaign volunteer where she installs free fire alarms. Whereas Ms. Dorman is very active in the community and sponsors many local groups, events, and organizations such as National Fire Preparedness Week, event with the Crescent City Fire and Rescue, free CPR trainings for the community, Hmong Association of Crescent City, food bank at the Family Resource Center, youth sports teams, Relay for Life, libations for the library, Santa's Workshop, 4-H soup and supper, Safe and Sober, Crescent City Triathlon, Operation Care Package, and she sponsors 2 dogs through the Prison Paws Partnership Program. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Crescent City hereby recognizes Mary Dorman for her endless dedication to serving our community. Service above self-proclamation. Yeah, fixing my signature to it. Picture.
You tell. Direct us, Kelly.
Yeah.
Tell us what to do, Kelly. You're so good at it. No, really. Stand in front of me.
Safety must be.
Thank you.
Ready. We'll move on to our next piece. Chief Griffin, I believe this is you.
I would just like to thank her as well. Everything I've ever worked on with her the EOC's everything. It's always been a pleasure, and she's always willing to donate and help and think of new ideas and everything. So I'd like to thank you from me and the police department as well. So from the police department, we did hire 2 new recruits that we're going to be after they went through the recruiting process and application and interviews, physical testing, everything, and we have completed backgrounds on them as well. And we're going to be sending them to the police academy. It starts January 12th. Today was their first day on duty though. So they're going to be learning the ropes and the incident command system. They took the 100 and 700 class today. So they found out how much fun that stuff was, and be doing the rest of the training and getting them up to speed, with as much support as we can before they go to the police academy. So I'd like to introduce Mai Tao. You want to come up here? And Chase Gardner, both locals. So this is great. This is what the program's for. But they'll be entering 6-month police academy. So they'll be back in July when they graduate, and that'll be their promotion ceremony from then. So you want to say anything or?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to serve the community. I'm very excited to do so.
Pretty much the same. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm excited to go to the academy next month.
Welcome to the team, guys. Thank you, Chief Griffin. And y'all, you do not have to stay for my incredibly entertaining meeting. But by all means, if you'd like to, yes, we'd love to have you. All right. I'll go ahead and start the public comment period as they're filing out. Any member of the audience is invited to address the City Council on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the City Council of the City of Crescent City. Comments of public interest or on matters appearing on the agenda are accepted. Note, however, that the council is not able to undertake extended discussion or act on non-agendized items. Such items can be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on a future agenda. All comments shall be directed toward the entire council. Any comments that are not at the podium are considered out of order and will not be a part of the public record. After receiving recognition from the mayor, please state your name and city or county residency for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes, and the public is additionally allotted 3 minutes each in which to speak on any item on the agenda prior to action being taken by the council. Do I have any public comment?
Morning, Mayor, or good evening. Councilor Tingler, your comments last 2 meetings ago regarding the signage really disturbed me. You're very adamant, you're very passionate about the digital signage, and it got a little confusing for a while, but what you were talking about. And I just want you to let you know it's representative government. I'm one of your constituents. I'm a city resident, but I saw very little movement in your comments, yet you repeated several times, I'm for business. But that's not what came across. Your concern about it would be distractive. It would be a safety issue. I didn't know if you had any data on traffic accidents in that area. It's a waste of energy. It's the night sky would be polluted, and it was blight. This is talking about a digital 32 square foot sign, which I actually think is more helpful than hurtful to this community, quite the contrary to your comments, because it provides services, activities, what's going on around the city, places to eat, and including you, Mayor, your comment, well, I don't see it anymore. Well, maybe this sign is not for you. You live here. You drive by it twice a year, but there's hundreds of thousands of cars who drive north and south every year. I think it was 750,000 at the last count. And they don't know what you know. They've never seen it. Well, something catches, well, here's a nice place to go to dinner. I'd hope you consider that, to have that kind of an adamant position of inflexibility about having this sign up there or others like it might be quite a beautification of the city. I was at the previous review of the plans for it, and I can see this would be an improvement. And I was a little concerned, Counselor Altman, that you were supportive, but you were very tentative about your support. And you even made a statement, which I hope you could back up, that, bowling is a dying sport. I don't know if you regret making that, but I can introduce you to about 800 people in Crescent City and Delaware County who utilize that service. But it's a valuable piece of land and the signage is helpful. And I hope you have some flexibility when this item comes up next, probably the next meeting. You're trying to find some direction. I saw there was, Councilor Greeno, you were not there. If you had seen what was going on, there are many people in this community who want to see that this is growth. The digital signage is growth. I see my sign is up and my time is up, so I'll sit down now. But I did want to mention a couple of other things about the ordinance about being the paper of record. And Ms. Rice, if you have information or more information requires some to justify, it's the Department of Consumer Affairs directs how the paper of record is determined, and it's done through a court action. The court has to overrule any transition of moving from one newspaper to another, and it's a process, and it has to be applied for in the Superior Court. So that's my report to you, and I hope they'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gitlin.
I'm sorry for being late, Sam Strait County. I just want to add one thing. A lot of people go up and down the 101 corridor that aren't aware of the fact that there's a lot of the city that if you're going north to the left, and when you're coming from the north going south to the right, and you've staked a position where you don't want any off-site advertising along 101. And while I'm not sure what the objection is to offsite advertising, but there are businesses further in and deeper into the city than 101. And how are those people going to be recognized by the travelers going through town if you don't allow offsite advertising? I mean, the whole process of how you laid out your signage, reducing it from 10 by 10, okay, to 4 by 8, and limiting your digital signage to 2 along the 9-block area of the city. I mean, it doesn't sound like very business-friendly type of an action to me if you're looking to support your businesses in the city. So I would suggest perhaps that you look at banning off-site advertising and maybe alter your stance on that to reflect the fact that all Crescent City businesses are not along the 101 corridor. Thank you very much.
Public comment? General public comment. Walked right in at the right time, Linda.
Yeah, I got talked into a half an hour massage and I forgot.
All good.
Anyway, the first thing you see when you drive into California, into Crescent City, is you see suicide, missing persons and murder, and rape. Big signs. That's not a good thing to see when you're first coming into our city. I understand, you want to educate the public and have phone numbers for them, but when you drive further into Crescent City, then you see dilapidated buildings and boarded up buildings. So I don't know what kind of message we're trying to send here. I think you should think about that and look into it, because that tells a story and it's not a good one. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, my name is Steven Jackson. I'm not coming here to talk to you guys today about signs. Got something a little bit more pressing, and that is ADA access at our beachfront park. About a decade ago, ADA access at our beachfront park. So about a decade ago, I was invited to, because of my adult experience of advocating for people with disabilities, I was invited to be part of the vision for Beachfront Park. And I brought in a lot of adults with developmental disabilities who advocated for having inclusive equipment at our parks. I was really, really excited to see a wheelchair swing get installed at the park. And that was something like we championed it, and it was there. It was awesome. The people that I brought in, they were excited about it, and they put their trust into a system that was going to be inclusive of them, which is a vision of this city to be inclusive. And then we see that there are locks on the wheelchair swing at Beachfront Park. I've heard reasoning being vandalism. I've heard reasons being that it had been damaged from other means. But now the policy of the city is to have a lock put on that swing with a chain, and you have to go across the street to the pool to be able to, hopefully during business hours and staff availability, be able to get the key to then go back across the street, or have a staff come across the street, unlock the swing, and then be able to use it. That is in direct violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Any equipment that is installed to be inclusive to the community has to be available just as every other piece of equipment is. It's black and white in the laws. I have already been talking to Mr. Weir about this to try to remedy the situation. And I know he said there's other issues that are coming along that may be liability reasons and things of that nature. The ADA doesn't care about liability. I'm not here to propose a lawsuit onto you guys, but I am letting you know that the city is really looking at a lawsuit for anybody who tries to go down and access that equipment. It's not available. What's that showing to people that come into our community that think that we are an inclusive community? That they take their children in because they hear that we have an inclusive park, just to have their children treated different, or their adult family members treated different than any other member. If a regular swing breaks at the park, do we put a lock on it? No. If somebody jumps from the second floor of the structures out there, do we block their access to be able to climb up the stairs? No. Somebody is coming through and vandalizing Beachfront Park, and the only person being punished, or the only people being punished, is a marginalized population of our community and people that come in to access it. So I'm going to ask for 3 things to be done coming out of this meeting. 1, stop locking the swing immediately. Like, this isn't an up for discussion type of thing. This needs to be unlocked like now. 2, the city should adopt a clear policy ensuring ADA features are available anywhere within our community. Within city limits, ADA features should always be available to the people who need them. And 3, include people with disabilities and their families in shaping long-term solutions. If there's confusion when it comes to the ADA, we should form a committee of people with lived experiences and advocates to be able to come in and help be able to shape the policy of this city moving forward, because this is a city that is inclusive. There's a large population who resides in this community who could use that equipment, who won't because of the stigma that comes attached to a lock on a swing when nobody else does. And with that, my time's up. I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Alrighty, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And we will move on to our consent calendar. Item number 1 is the warrants claims list for period November 1st, 2025 through November 14th, 2025. Item number 2, council minutes for the special closed session meeting November 19th, 2025. Item number 3, payroll report for November 15th, 2025, paid November 21st, 2025. Number 4, fiscal year 25-26 budget update for multi-year projects by way of resolution number 2025-53. Item number 5, renumbering of resolutions and duplicate identifiers by way of resolution number 2025-54. Item number 6, the Rainy Collector generator repair by way of resolution number 2025-55. Item number 7, surplus self-contained breathing apparatus equipment. Item number 8, budget to actual summary as of October 31st, 2025. Item number 9, vehicle donation. Surplus Chevy Suburban. Council? Anything want to be pulled? Alrighty, do I have any public comment on anything on the calendar? Take a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Please pull the vote.
Councilmember Altman,
Yes.
Councilmember Greeno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tinkler,
Yes.
Mayor Wright.
Yes. Alrighty, we have a public hearing. Item number 10, accessory dwelling unit regulations update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are here to hold a public hearing on the adoption of Ordinance 859, which is updating the ADU section of Title 17, the zoning code for Crescent City. This ordinance was recently introduced. I'll briefly go over what the ordinance does. Government code changed the section that the ADU mandatory regulations are contained in. So we've updated the cross references in the ordinance to reference that new government code section. In addition, the state also updated several definitions within their substantive definitions within the code. And those are for efficiency unit, junior accessory dwelling unit, livable space, multifamily dwelling. Also sets forth new setback requirements, new height increases, or they're really clarifications more than new provisions. And also new definitions of statewide exemption ADU types. So these were all updates that we are required to do in order to comply with the mandatory state provisions. And as was mentioned at the last meeting, we were contacted by the Housing and Community Development sort of enforcement unit, inquiring as to when we were going to make these updates. So we've been working through it for the last couple months with the Planning Commission and our contract planners. And we have reached this point tonight where we are ready to adopt the updated regulations.
Council, any questions?
Did we open the public hearing?
Oh, let's open that public hearing.
Thank you.
All right. Council, any questions? Alrighty, any public comment on the accessory dwelling unit regulations update?
I will say this, unfortunately, the state has taken the lead on this and we have enforcement authorities telling us we have to pass this. So there could be consequences if we don't.
That's correct.
So.
Alrighty, seeing no public comment and no further council discussion, I will take a motion.
Mayor, make a motion, we waive full reading, read by title only, and adopt ordinance number 859, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Crescent City, amending chapter 17.35, accessory dwelling units of Title 17 zoning of the Crescent City Municipal Code.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Please pull the vote.
And then we'll close the public hearing.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, we'll close public hearing.
Okay.
Let's pull the vote.
Councilmember Altman,
Yes.
Councilmember Greeno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tinkler,
Yes.
and Mayor Wright.
Yes. Alrighty, we have no continuing business. We do have some things on new business. Item number 11, cannabis regulation update. Staff report.
So we had this item as a discussion at the last meeting, and I am here with a draft ordinance for introduction this evening. Previously, the Planning Commission had made recommendations which were presented to you at the last meeting. The City Council gave direction to basically accept all of those recommendations except for limiting the number of storefront cannabis retailers within the city limits was lowered from 8 to 5. And then as a reminder as to what the other new provisions are, there will no longer be allowed there won't be allowed any additional cannabis cultivation operations within the city limits. We currently have one. But under this ordinance, no new permits for indoor cultivation would be allowed. Require a safe environment, pay all applicable license and permit fees when due, maintaining the $15,000 surety bond during the life of the business. No permits will be issued until all application and licensing fees have been paid. Require that commercial cannabis permittees open their doors within 24 months of receiving their permit. Declaring that a commercial cannabis permittee that closes its door for 60 or more consecutive days will be deemed to have surrendered its permit. And then we added new sections to address enforcement as well as procedures for those enforcement mechanisms, which include suspension, revocation, or amendment of the permit. So the draft ordinance this evening contains all those provisions as well as the storefront retail cap of 5, which is the current number of licensed retailers we have in the city.
Council, any questions?
I have some. Do we have any interest or did we have any interest to open any further retail spaces in the near future?
We don't have any applications.
We don't. Okay. Do we have any pending applications to at least to open up other grows?
No, we have no pending applications. I don't believe we've ever received another application other than the original one that was granted.
Okay.
Of course, we've received several storefront retail applications over the years. Currently, we have 5 that are active and open.
Okay. It just seems like this action is a little irrelevant. It seems like the market is regulating itself and that we're not being inundated with cannabis shops on every corner. So I'm confused as to why this is even before the council. Again.
Well, one of the reasons is the planning commission is tasked with, they have to approve the permits, right? So as they were a little bit frustrated, I think when the applications were coming through and they didn't really have a lot of control over what was happening, right? It's you meet what's in the ordinance. They make a decision as to whether you meet what's in the ordinance, and then you can have your business as long as you comply with everything that's in there. We looked at different options as far as, capping the number of permits was one, maybe changing the zoning where it's allowed, or coming up with space between retailers, different things like that. We had a discussion about several different mechanisms, and in the end, they decided their recommendation was just going to be to cap it at 5. Some other issues that staff have had over the years, we haven't had too many issues, but we have had situations arise that made us realize there were some improvements we could make to the ordinance as far as enforcement. So just to give us options in the future, what's where the suspension and revocation and amendment, and then making sure we had clear due process guidelines for the permit holders in the event that happens. So there's a lot of changes. The 5 is only one of them, as well as, the no more cultivation, but there's lots of other good stuff besides those 2 as well. So I think that other stuff is also very important.
Okay.
Because question, it might be just a typo, or maybe I'm reading this wrong, but on page 5 of this, it actually says under 17.95.040, commercial cannabis use is allowed, and it says C, cultivation indoor only under a use permit. Oh, that's it. If you had one before, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. So as long as you already had a permit is what I guess I'm reading.
Yeah, so there's another,
yeah,
because we
I
do
understand.
currently have a
Yeah, I
cultivator, we have
misread
to
that, I'm
keep
sorry.
some of those regulations
Yeah.
in there, and then later on, it's clear that we
Okay.
don't issue anymore.
Okay, sorry.
I'll just say this, while I am not a big supporter of the cannabis industry personally, I am a big supporter of business. And we do have a lot of empty buildings in Crescent City. And I really feel that putting limitations on an industry that's already regulating itself is irrelevant and not a good use of our time. So I would move that we remove the limitation. Because it's already being limiting itself. That's my motion. Besides that, the enforcement stuff, I can go along with that. But that's my one critique of this is why try to ban something that's nobody's trying to increase. Well, while we're trying to get people to open businesses in our empty buildings. It's not showing that we're business friendly here. So.
Also, anything else? I'm going to pull public comment.
I just wanted to state that this is a fine example of fine tuning ordinances. So there's no need to panic once an ordinance is put in place. There is room to amend them down the road. Good example is the sign ordinance that we're working on currently. You kind of learn as you go, and if we gotta go in and tweak these ordinances, then thank goodness we're allowed to go in and tweak them, right? So I think it's a good example. I think it fine tunes this ordinance, and I'm for it. Thank you.
Also, anything else? Public comment?
Sam Straight again. If I may repeat what I spoke, when I spoke last meeting, Crescent City doesn't have 5 grocery stores, doesn't have 5 pharmacies, let alone 8. I don't even think we have 5 gas stations in town. So why is the limitation on pot stores so abhorrent to one particular member of the council? I think it sets a bad example for Crescent City to have the ability to load up on that type of business rather than something that is actually important to the quality of life in Crescent City. Thank you.
Thank you for public comment. Anybody else?
I agree with him. Yeah, I think that you should keep your ordinance as is, Mr. Greeno. If you're going to the bottom of the barrel and you want to make Crescent City just pot smoking capital of California and have all businesses only pot, then I don't know, maybe you're in the wrong place. Thank you.
Thank you for public comment.
I abhor the product. You remember I was the first one who made an example out of myself. Why are we growing this thing in our city limits? I think you should vote no on this. Don't introduce it, leave it alone and let it die its own death. Thank you.
Public comment. Bill.
Few comments on the ordinance itself. First of all, the 60 days, I don't know, maybe it could be worded a little differently. My only concern is because it's 60-day duration and then it expires on somebody's business if they're operating a business. I mean, I could see potentially if somebody has a medical emergency or something happens where they have to be gone for 60 days. So I don't know, maybe there could be some language in there that would state something like on the cessation of business after 60 days or something like that. To that, I understand the intent that you don't want to have these licenses sitting out there if they're not conducting business anymore. So I mean, maybe that could be meted out a little more. That's my thought on that. 24 months to get a license, it's very generous. My experience, the longest was 6 months. I would suggest maybe it's 12 months, and maybe you can have some language in there, maybe with an extension with just cause if somebody needs that. 2 years seems like quite a bit long period of time. The cultivation, I'm not opposed to having cultivation. My only concern on that one is that falls back to the micro business licensing, which cultivation is allowed under that. In order to have a micro business license, you have to be able to conduct 3 of those 4 things, which is, the retail sales, manufacturing, distribution, and cultivation. So you might be limiting that a little bit. Maybe that's something I don't know if that just was considered in this. As far as limiting the number of shops, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I think you do also limit the amount of alcohol retailers and tobacco as well. So I don't think it's totally out of the question. I'm a free market guy too. I get where you're coming from. But sometimes some things just need to, you can always look at other communities and what's going on there. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment, sir. Anybody else, public comment? I'll go ahead and close public comment. City Attorney Rice, that 60-day duration, because we had talked about this, trying to recall our conversation. That was about the abandonment, essentially, like they're stopping.
Yeah, so the way that it's worded is if a storefront retail business closes its doors to the public for more than 60 consecutive days, then that permit shall be deemed surrendered.
Is there anything they could do? Could they say, contact the city and say, hey, I have a medical emergency and I'm out of the area?
Potentially. I don't know that there is a
Place.
I'm seeing up the appeal. Because the appeals only apply to suspension and revocation, but we could potentially add an appeal for that as well, so that if they didn't agree that they had surrendered their license, that they had extenuating circumstances, then they could appeal to the planning commission.
I think it's a good idea, but then I was thinking of a slippery slope of, how do you determine what a extenuating circumstance is?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Great. I just had a few more things to say. I've been pretty consistent on marijuana. I don't support the use of it. As a matter of fact, when we first passed the ordinance, or were working through the ordinance, I advocated for a lot more restrictions on where they could be, as well as the limitation of the range to certain areas where children could be present. And a lot of the regulations that I proposed were not accepted. I did want more stringent things in this ordinance, but it didn't end up happening. And so another thing I've also been pretty consistent on is my stance on business. I don't believe that we should have any we shouldn't have a heavy hand when it comes to business. We should only regulate to the point where it's necessary to regulate, no more. And so I had a pretty clear stance when it came to cigarettes and smoke, the sale of cigarettes. I believe the market should regulate itself, and I think that it is. I think it's working. Our regulations in the ordinance have been working. But it sounds like this is probably going to pass, so, which is fine. And that's where I'm at.
Ready? Council, anything else? If not, I'll take a motion.
Mayor, make a motion that we waive full reading and read by the title only and introduce ordinance number 860, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Crescent City, amending chapter 17.95, commercial cannabis regulations of title 17, zoning of the Crescent City Municipal Code.
There was a motion on the floor.
Actual motion, I didn't
Yeah,
hear.
Jason
Didn't
made a
hear the
motion.
actual motion.
There wasn't a second.
I did make a motion. There wasn't a second.
Okay, so I assumed it. Okay.
Yeah, it died.
Wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would second.
Motion and a second. Please pull the vote.
Councilmember Altman,
Yes.
Councilmember Greeno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tinkler,
Yes.
Mayor Wright.
Yes. If the council is all right with it, I would like to have a mechanism brought back to the council for that very specific situation that I was talking about, the 60 days. I think there's extenuating circumstances, say like, I don't know, another big fire that closes doors. I'd hate for somebody to lose their license because something happens that's not always necessarily under their control. So if the council is okay with that, I'd like the wording for the ordinance brought back. It's already passed this, but this would be after the fact.
So while we're on the topic of cannabis, have we had any complaints concerning any of our cannabis related businesses?
Yes.
Yes, many.
There have been some in regard to odors and a few other complaints regarding other activities, I guess, but mainly it was just odor in regard to the cultivation.
Okay.
Really the complaint.
And have we done things to remedy those situations?
We have certainly addressed those situations with the owners, and there's been some actions taken and then more complaints issued, and then again, staff going back to try to get those addressed. So it's been a back and forth.
Okay. Have there been any businesses that refuse to remedy situations?
Wouldn't say there was an outright refusal for this particular case.
How long has this back and forth been going on for?
A couple of years, probably, to be honest.
Okay. Well,
This ordinance addresses that permanently, correct?
It would address a future business coming in and being able to operate a cultivation.
Right.
The existing business is still there and would still continue to operate. And so as those come in, staff will still be trying to address that situation to make sure they're in compliance with the order.
okay.
How do we feel about what I was saying, guys? Or gals?
I agree with you. I also want to,
So
Yeah, I would like to know that too. What does that look like? Is that like a?
Yeah, we already passed it.
Yeah, this ordinance is passed. This is something
Oh.
for the future I'd like to agendize.
Okay, so it was introduced,
Future.
right? This was introduced tonight, so it'll come back to the council for adoption. And then you'd want to see
I thought we already did that.
this ordinance
Yeah.
come back though and amend the 60 days portion. Is that what you're talking about?
No, down the road. So like we passed this, let's look at the wording to put a mechanism in place for that specific circumstance I was talking about, losing their license after 60 days of being inoperable.
It would be amending
I-
this.
New.
basically adding,
I think that should have been brought up at the last council meeting, and I feel like it's putting undue work on our city members. Don't think it's unreasonable to say you were completely inoperable for 60 days. I mean, I mostly think we just passed this.
Oh, it's passed. I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Is
something
it
different.
passed or is it an introduction? I think we need that clarified.
So it's introduced as presented in the agenda packet.
Yeah, and I'm talking in the future, I'd like it brought back, not this brought back wording for it.
Understood.
This is going forward.
Concerning exigent circumstances for a business that has closed, right? No, I agree with that.
That lost their license specifically, but yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
All right.
I mean,
Looks like
flooding,
we have
fire.
consensus for a future time to bring that back to us. No rush. But let's get that brought back. Thank you. Alrighty, item number 12, our final item, affordable housing project selection and award for permanent local housing allocation. Pro Housing Incentive Program Fund. Feel like there's a acronym there. The PLA and PIP. There you go. There you go.
Yes, the PLHA and the PIP funds. Acronyms that our city attorney Rice and our grants and economic development manager Bridget Lacey know all too well now. But this is really an exciting opportunity for us as a community. And this is directly related to the fact we are a pro-housing community and have been designated as that. And with that, about a year ago, the council authorized us to apply for some funding to assist a housing project. And so we were granted that in the amount of $650,000 from the PIP funds or the Pro Housing Initiative program. And then we also were allocated funding from the permanent local housing allocation, and that's the PLHA funds. Combined, it's a little over $1 million and that we have that could go towards a project that would develop at least 4 affordable units. And so we put out an RFP about a year ago, didn't receive any proposals back at that point in time, as I think it was new. People were still kind of getting their feet underneath them a little bit as to what kind of a project they could propose, and then, how we could actually develop that in our community. As we fast forward a little bit, we're in the middle of our downtown master plan as well, which also indicated that housing is a real need, especially in our downtown, as well as putting this back out for RFP. And what's before you tonight is the proposal that was selected by the evaluation group, which was city attorney Rice, myself, our downtown master plan consultant, and Bridget Lacey, as one that could really move the needle, could really utilize these funds not only as funds to build some housing, but be a catalyst in our area, really put people in our downtown to where they could take full advantage of those amenities and really be that starter for the next phase of downtown. And so what's before you tonight is a proposal from community. And actually, Mr. Patch, if you could bring up that presentation. Yeah, it's coming. Not this particular graphic, but yours is coming. So Community Systems is the name of the company. Mike Barr is with me tonight. Community System Solutions, correct? And they have proposed a multifamily complex project that would be a mixed-use project, and they're calling it the Redwood Downtown. The location, so this is our zoning map of the city. The location that they're talking about is actually, I don't know why these graphics always get moved slightly from where they actually are. It is not the right circle on this. That would be another property. So if you happen to be the owner of that property, no, it is not going right there. It is actually going at the old Daly site. So the corner of 3rd and J. And which has been a vacant building in our downtown for a long time. It was a thriving department store. I can remember it as a kid growing up here, but that has changed. And then it was Roscoe Furniture for a while, but now it's been vacant for probably at least a decade. And so this is the proposed site, and like I say, could really be that catalyst type project. So that's the corner of 3rd and J. That's looking at it. Did just recently change ownership, and so they have done a nice job with trying to put something in the windows for the holidays. So this is actually taken today. You can see the backside of it there, and then the associated parking lot as well that goes with it. However, if you look at the project that they're proposing, this would be the project that they are proposing. And so you can see this is the corner of Third and J here. So it would be this mixed use. And again, these are early concepts, so this could change. But what they have proposed is to have something that would be cohesive with what we're planning for Front Street and the Gateway Arch, as well as that family of materials that we want to see in the downtown itself, representing a Redwood coastal community. And so looking at Redwood to be a key component of this. If you look towards the middle, this is the Redwood downtown, looking at some sort of a breezeway to come in, looking at 3 stories of various bedrooms, a total of 27 units. And again, 80% of those would be below 80% AMI, and then the other 20 could be up to 120, making it a completely affordable housing unit. And this is overall what it looks like. So you can see the retail would be on this Third Street side. They are looking at possibly a community type service space. So this could be a business incubator. It's also been something that's been identified as a need. And so they're wanting to try to meet that need as well for businesses to be able to come in and utilize this space in a downtown area with good place to meet for business, internet, and then the developments would be, or the residential portions would be above and then into the back area here. This overall is the project that they are proposing. It's approximately $11 million project. And so our $1 million does not get you this. It's going to take several different phases and components. However, a key piece for us is that this money does need to be spent quickly. And this project has assured us that that will happen. And so basically by the end of February, March of next year, the PIP funds need to be spent. And so they are going to spend those funds on purchasing the land, as well as the engineering and entitlements of the project. And then they have developed a team that we believe can deliver this project. So not only do you have Mike Barr and his project team, but he has TCA as the architects, which are the ones that came up with some of these early drawings. So he has them on board, ready and willing to complete the engineering and construction documents. He has a finance and project management team in looking at future funding and how to acquire those future grants that will be needed. As a construction management and general contractor in Red Sky, as well as Lee Tromble as the civil engineer. So the team's in place. And we think this absolutely could be a catalyst type project that could move the needle. There's also included in this, there is a surety to the city to say that this will happen. And so with that, we have performance bonds, and performance bonds we have, and Martha's shaking her head. So Martha, what do we have?
We have promissory notes.
Promissory notes. Performance bonds are in construction contracts. So that is why that language came. So promissory notes, as well as the deed of trust, correct?
Yes.
Okay. For basically the full amount of the city's grant.
Yes, so the city's grant, part of it will be covered by the land itself and as security for, so it's a 650,000, well, all of it. If we don't make the 4 units by 2030, June 2030, we have to give the money back. So through these mechanisms, we've provided the city with security that if that happened, when we would be able to get the money back from the developer. So we're doing that through a combination of security on the land itself, as well as promissory notes from outside, not from just the company itself, but from investors.
Are those legally binding? So if they don't follow what's in front of us, that we will be guaranteed those funds?
At least the development of the 4 units.
If we don't get the 4 units, so that we are in that case, we are required to pay back the funds to the state. Yes. As far as the specific project, we have a general project description in the contract. And if that is changed, it has to come to the council for approval.
Okay. But if the project doesn't go through and we're on the line for this money,
Then yes, we
then
will
then
have a
the
means to
money
collect
will
that
be
money.
legally, this contractor is bound to give the money back.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm looking at the liability to the city here. I don't want to leave the city with a very large amount of money that might have to be given back to the state.
Absolutely. And that was our big concern as well. And Mr. Barr can address what he has as far as sureties that will ensure that, because it's the last thing we need as a city right now, right? Is to have this great opportunity come before us that could develop a project like this and instead something happens. And at times it just does, right? But we have to protect the city to make sure that we are at least whole and it doesn't end up hurting us when something really should help us and be that catalyst.
No, I'm excited about the project. I think that downtown, we've been working towards moving more people downtown in order to help our businesses stay downtown. Our downtown isn't the 101 corridor. Our downtown is off of the corridor. And so our businesses struggle because people don't always come off of that corridor.
And it's hard because you don't have a lot of residential in the downtown either. And so with something like this, you would have more of that activity and that synergy after 5 o'clock. You know, a lot of people just, they go home, they leave the city. If you're in the city, you're going to be more likely to be walking around, going to the businesses, people coming to visit you. In this location, you're very close to grocery stores, you're close to transit, you're close to restaurants, right? All of the above. And so that's where we do feel this could be that catalyst project. But with that, I do have Mike Barr. Mike can speak to the project and address the council if the council is willing. Mr. Barr.
I'll wait till he comes up. I have a question.
Council, thank you so much. Pleasure being here. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right.
Or to talk about and brag on the team and on the project.
Well,
I had well, first of all, I want to thank you for your interest in investing in our community. I also was asked by this council to be the council representative on our downtown visioning project. And I'm excited because this does fit in with plans as they are so far. But I guess one of my questions, and I hope it won't sound insulting, I think it's a given, is you did say that the designs we saw were just preliminary. I think they were AI created or something. I would just like to know that first of all, I don't expect that if we okay design and then somehow the visioning project asks for different colors, we're not gonna, I don't want you to think we're gonna come back and do that. But I would like us to be kept in the loop as far as what the design would be. And I have had some experience of having some beautiful designs showing lovely landscaping. It ends up being some gravel and a piece of driftwood or something. You know, it's like, that's not landscaping. So, you know, I just would want to ensure for our city, our community, that this really will be as exciting as it looks.
Yeah, no, we want it to be that way. So we actually did an initial design, and then during the visioning process and this grant review process, worked with John Arambula, and is that right? Arambula, and actually changed the design of these buildings based on Don's sketches and designs. So they're now closer to what he is envisioning as he's putting it together. So we are 100% open to making sure that as this moves forward, it is a catalyst for all of your designs, right? So that we, you know, in the drawings, we do have the curb stub outs, the round outs. We are putting trees on that thing. Yes. So we are completely open, and we expect changes to be made in the planning process because that's just the way these projects go. And we'll be continually working with the city. to make it meet what the city really wants it to meet.
Okay. Well, I just want to start by saying thank you for showing interest in our community and for taking the risk on us. I know that a project like this doesn't come without risk on the company's part. Can you kind of lay out a time frame
Yeah.
of when realistically we might see this project come to fruition?
Right.
And then could you also talk about some of the funding sources
Yeah.
that you guys are going for?
100%. So let me, I'm going to work it sort of from the middle backwards and then from the middle direction. So realistically, there's probably no way to get to construction before March, April 2027. Not 26, but 27. So we'll be using this funding to put together all of the design work that leverages the state grant funds. So this project will be eligible for state grant funds. The state grant fund period looks like it's going to open up in March of 2026, close about December of 2026, and then do a 3-month negotiation. So that would kind of match the time period of the past 2 years of 24 and 25. So we'll be getting, we're applying for about 50%. This project's actually eligible for 100% state funding. We'll be applying probably for about 50 to 75% to make ourselves more competitive, right? We have to do a lot of stuff to get to 100, but that's almost half the funding would be right there. So the first phase will be demolition. That also gives time for Johnston's to be relocated into, another building. So don't want to, great local downtown business, don't want to be pushing and rushing them out. So that gives us that. So basically a year of construction. So, we'd love to have the ribbon cutting, the first of 2028. That would be just great, but it's probably spring of 2028 is what that would be. So funding the entitlement of permitting starts with these funds, then moves into equity. It's about $1.5 million of project equity investors that will be in, almost $3 million tax credits, right? So this project will be eligible for the tax credits and triple tax credits on this project. Those get wrapped up into a bond and sold into the market. So that brings money into the project. Those folks then get to take a tax write-off for the next 20 years. Then we talked about that state grant funds coming in, and then the balance would be what we would get on the construction loan. That could be $3 million to $4 million, depending on how the other funds come in. So that would be the balance of what's not basically grant or equity funded. Right? Is that $4 million, and then that turns into the long term after the project's done. That turns into the long term mortgage financing.
So the grants that you're going for, are they highly competitive grants, or are they grants that are kind of over the counter type grants?
So they are both. So they are highly competitive. There's been a little bit of money left every year. And what 2026 is not new funding in that program, but it's rolled over funding. So we've met with them. They're going to be rolling over $200 to $300 million. They had 5 years, $1 billion a year for 5 years. So they didn't. So 2026 is year 6. So they're rolling over unspent funds from the previous years. So there won't quite be as much. It'll be interesting to see how it's competitive. However, if you applied in the previous 5 years, which we did not, you are not eligible to apply. So we have gone through the California Certified Affordable Multifamily Developer Program. And so we will be eligible for those funds. And because we haven't applied before, we will be eligible for those funds. And that's probably what the state had to do in 2025 when the governor said, hey, if you've done it, if you've gotten this, you can't do it again, is they had to get new developers, new nonprofit certified. So we went through that certification program. So we've already been jumping through the hoops in order to access that money.
Okay. I hate to do worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, you aren't able to get some of these funds that are highly competitive.
Yep.
is there a break glass situation where a replacement funding source?
Yeah, so equity would be part of the replacement funding source. The equity funds and the construction loan funds that we're bringing in are below market funds. We're basically working with union pension funds. So the unions reinvest those funds into communities, basically for workforce housing and to put union folks to work. So we do have a threshold of profitability that is slightly higher than what we've built into this. But we would also look to say, in 2026, did the state pass a new housing bond? We actually have till 2030, though we're pushing for 2028. We actually have till 2030. So we would look to see if the state did another $5 billion bond and say, well, why didn't we get the grant funds? We've been really good at getting grant funds. As a nonprofit, the past 3 years, secured 40 million, 21 million here at the Harbor District. 2026, expect a lot of construction at the Harbor District. People complain, not anything happening at the Harbor District. Next year, they're going to complain about all the construction and all the road closures at the Harbor District. So, yeah, we're pretty good at this stuff, and we really do like to work with the grant funder. So we're already working with that funder.
Right. Well, thank you.
Council, anything else? Righty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's see if we got any public comment.
Contractor goes bankrupt. And what happens when you're pro-business and you're reducing the business footprint downtown? It seems like somewhat of a conflict there. And I don't see that building a multi-family housing unit smack in the middle of the commercial area is pro-business. Thank you.
I'm a little confused. Roger Gitlin. $11 million project. What's the city's culpability on this? I heard 100%, and then Mike said we're only going to need 25%, 75%. Well, it's 25% that's coming from where? That was not explained. Maybe Mr. Barr can explain how the monies are going to be distributed if the project is successful. The other thing, element that kind of confused me is if this goes cattywampus, and how do you get your money back from a contractor if he and when files a bankruptcy? How does that happen? Are we city out the money? I understood, Councilor Greeno, you were concerned about what happens in the worst case scenario. This is 2 years away, but what happens when something goes wrong, bad weather for a long period of time or something, and the contractor is bonded, but then bellies up? So the third thing, and perhaps City Manager Weir, you can address this. How does this address the city housing plan? I hear a low end on this one project. Is there anybody who's going to develop properties that give off a lot of property tax revenue in the higher area? And that's part of the plan. And I've heard in the previous 3 or 4 projects, everything is directed downward for low end people. Now, if I'm understanding that correctly, this is the 4th project within the city in the last 18 months. You can clear that up for how many different projects you have, but they're all pointing to low and below moderate level. And there's no addressing of any plans to develop more expensive housing, or we want to encourage people to come up here but have some money in their pocket when they do that. Okay, that's about it for me. Thank you.
Has anyone said Jimmy crack corn?
Only twice.
Myself, Burl Ives, man. You look like Burl Ives. Hey, this is exciting. I hope that you go through with it. My God, we need all the help we can get here. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I think it's a great project. Everybody knows if you want to have a thriving downtown, you have to have people living downtown. It just makes sense. I guess wasn't paying attention. Does a project have to be completed by 2030 or just commenced?
Our understanding is you have to have at least 4 units built, so.
Of
certificate
the
occupancy,
27?
That's,
So I
that's
guess-
what the grant requires.
Yeah, my only concern with that would be it's $11 million estimated today. If the project gets commenced and isn't built for another 10 to 15 years, has there been a projected estimate what it will be at that time? Thank you.
Anybody else? Alrighty, I'll go ahead and close the public comment. I did want us to address what Mr. Gitlin said. The amount of money that the city would be on the line for would be the grant amount, correct? So that the actual PIP funding, if it's not, the project isn't completed by 2030, which is.
That's correct. It's a total of just over $1 million.
And it's bonded, he said it was bonded through the property itself, and what was the other piece?
It's secured with,
Secured.
yeah, it's secured with the real property as well as promissory notes from individual investors, not from contractors.
So kind of like when we took down the A Street Clinic, we were the first people to get paid, kind of thing.
It's a little bit different. I mean, it's different than that, but we would have recognized security that's legal and collectible in the event that the 4 units could not be built by the deadline of June 2030.
Council, anything else?
I have one more question. In the picture representation, were those shops on the side of it? Okay.
Like where they're at now.
So what's the proposed number of shops and how large would they be?
They were 8, I think is what I saw. Yeah.
I just wanted to draw that out for the good of the public.
Yeah, so storefront, 2 on the front, approximately 35 to 5,000 square feet. Where the blue is, we're considering that could be a mixed-use training and retail, or on the other side there also. And if that's the case, there would be probably a J Street door entrance on that side also. So you've got retail on the first, and then you've got apartments over the top. That.
Boy, that sounds exciting. That would be a huge improvement to what we have, which is a huge building that we would love to use, but we haven't been able to get someone to use it.
So I've lived here.
So
Could be could be a really great project. I will just want to bring to the council's attention, as it's been brought up, parking. With the number of units that we are talking about, there's limited parking. This is not uncommon for a downtown. With a project like this, as it's being proposed, if it would go forward, it would need a parking waiver. The waiver would be, basically, it would be state exempt. So when you have an affordable housing unit project like this, it automatically grants you certain waivers. You can have a waiver for density, you can have a waiver for parking, you can have a waiver for height. There's whatever you need the waiver for. If it's affordable like this, the state sort of ties our hands and says that it must be granted. So although there is a parking lot proposed, and their parcel actually goes up right along here and then encompasses this whole space here. So that is their property. Currently, this parking lot has been vacant for a long time. There hasn't been a business in this Daly's building for a long time, and so people just park there. But it is part of this Daly's parking lot. It is part of their property. And so it would go with a project like this. So I just wanted full disclosure to the council, that is the case. At staff level, when looking at it, there is quite a bit of parking that could be around. There's a public parking lot just down in this lower left corner. That's the clock tower parking lot. It's currently underutilized. There's also a parking lot That would be across the street. So there's a vacant field just to the north of Tri-Counties. But then there's a parking lot that'd be just to the west of that, adjacent to the Elks Club. And that is also a city-owned parking lot, so people could park there. In regard to the businesses in Third Street, if this were to be developed and you have retail along this side and along this corner, something that the council could look at in the future is some sort of parking ordinance. You could put this as a 2-hour parking or 4-hour parking or something like that. So that would keep the people that would actually be living in this area not parking along Third Street, not parking in front of your businesses, because that could be a concern that comes.
Good idea. Council, anything else?
Don't forget the city parking lot across the street. You can park over there.
You ready for?
I'll take a motion.
As much as I have fond memories of being 5 years old and my daddy buying me dresses at Daly's, not everything that's historic is actually historic. Sometimes just old. So I'm very happy to move that we approve and authorize the city manager to sign and execute the PLHA-PIP loan agreement with Community System Solutions to construct an affordable housing project.
Motion
I'll second that.
and a second. Please pull the vote.
Councilmember Altman,
Yes.
Councilmember Greeno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tinkler,
Yes.
Mayor Wright.
Yes. Alrighty, that brings us to the end of the agenda. We are moving on to our city council items, reports, concerns, referrals, council travel, training reports.
I apologize.
It's all good. Any legislative matters? City Attorney Rice,
No, not this evening.
City Manager report.
Thank you, Mayor Wright. I'd actually like to invite Director Yeager down. He has a couple of pictures. There is quite a large Measure S project going on in our community, so we can give the council and community a quick update on that. What's happening right now and what to expect.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. Yeah, this is kind of the exciting time. We've been talking about these large projects, and Measure S has been doing a great job of just picking projects off, but this is our first official large paving project. It began a couple weeks ago. It came to council and kind of set up some talk to the public about how to, what's gonna happen per the map on the screen. Lots of dialect about conversations about the no parking signs and what have you coming up. And I do want to start by commending the public. We tackled the D Street and C Street and 8th Street, and we only had to move one vehicle today. And Chief Griffin probably actually knows more about I do, but last time I heard is they couldn't actually find who the owner was. The vehicle was sold. They couldn't track down the owner. So hats off to the city of Crescent City and the citizens. There's so many people on 8th Street. We were concerned, but people made great efforts to put vehicles on streets. We were reported with signs first went up that some of the vehicles didn't move. They got them moved. So I'd like to commend the city for that. So a few weeks ago, they did a little prep work. This morning, crack of dawn, literally. The picture there on the left is about 7:30 this morning, and they were grinding the road. And ST Roads, and I want to commend them as well. They showed up with a paver, with a paving buggy, with 3 rollers, tractors, traffic control, the whole deal. So there was a little concern about their pricing in terms of what we got so far. We're entirely pleased with the efforts they're putting into the project. What happened today, so this was day one, and day one, the 2 streets, C and D Street between 9th and 10th are both completed. So they ground all those out and paved them. The street by the Masonic Lodge, which would be the one on the right, has a history of being very bad. So we actually put down 5 inches of asphalt there, did it in 2 lifts. We went through the school traffic in the morning and the afternoon, safely got it ground out. So that was the big accomplishment for the day. And we also, and I like this shot here, we also ground out 8th Street from A to E. It just seems to go forever. And so huge improvement. As you can see, there are also no parked vehicles on the street. So that will get paved tomorrow. And so they've already moved the grinder to F Street to start grinding, going that direction towards I.
And then they will get that section paved tomorrow. So the brief schedule, December 2nd, grind 8th Street between F and I streets and the 2 blocks between 7th Street, H to I and K to L. Those will get grounded tomorrow. That should be essentially all the grinding. There might be one other street we may or may not do, depending on quantities. And so the rest of the schedule, just for the public and ourselves to know, is how fast this is going. Tomorrow, they will pave west section of 8th Street and A to F or A to E, and they may keep going if they've got time. They're going to pave basically Tuesday, Wednesday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The paving should be finished by Thursday. They've got another crew showing up on Wednesday to start doing the valve. When we pave over the water valves, you drop them down, and then we're going to raise them back up for the collars. So essentially, other than just striping, which will be weather dependent, we should be knocked out of that thing really this week. So we got a great week of weather as anticipated by other events forthcoming. But anyway, so knocking it out of the park, and it's going to be transformative, to steal a word I heard when I first came to the city. This is big time, accomplished Measure S. So this is kind of the overall map, but what's happening here is the project in red. So we're not exactly doubling the Measure S money, but we're getting very close. And the next spring's project is the paving in green. So the Measure S money we've talked about for years, we are finally putting into action on a large scale. And so as stated, the red is what we're doing this project, the green is what's coming up next spring. And so that's, probably over doubling the amount of paving. Obviously, it should both financially, what have you. But anyway, so the public's very happy. The thrill of the day was I got to show two kids, different kids, about what the construction equipment was, and little kids out watching us today. So that's always the fun part of the job. So that's it.
I'd have to say, out of all the things that Measure S pays for, this is one of the most visible and meaningful things. Driving down a road that's been completely rehabilitated, can't beat it. And the 8th Street, I mean, I used to drive down that thing all the time, and there were a lot of really terrible spots. So thank you for your work on this and our contractors' work.
In terms of full disclosure, we can't get them all. I mean, so the people are going to come back and say, well, why didn't you do the shoulders on this block of 8th Street? Or why didn't you, go sideways? We're walking by stuff that's just horrible. But it's really the model of collector streets first, salvage what you've got, utilizing, spreading the assets the best we can. Like you say, 8th Street and those 2 roads for Joe Hamilton are just horrible. So we got plenty of other horrible streets to tackle, but.
I guess my final thing is to thank the people of Crescent City again.
Yeah.
The Measure S funds are going to where we said we would send them. And we are managing the people's infrastructure with those funds. So I'm excited about this project. Thank you.
You betcha. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Hager. And then council is willing, I'd like to have our events director, Kelly Fiola, come up, and she can just talk real quick about the light parade coming up on Friday.
Unacceptable. Just plain.
Good evening. Light Parade is this Friday, 6:30 p.m. and the city will have a float. And so we are super excited to be involved. Also we have a window decorating contest that was citywide, a little bit low participation, but I kind of expected that for the first time competition. But we're going to have those windows judged this week and announce the winners at the Downtown Light Parade Holiday Market. After the parade, we will have the holiday market in the 3rd Street Clock Tower parking lot, and Santa Claus will be our special guest, and you'll get to have pictures with Santa. And Del Norte High School band is going to be playing. They're actually going to start at 5 o'clock and play until the parade starts, and then play again afterwards. So be really festive downtown on Friday night. I have currently 10 vendors that are going to be set up in the parking lot. So should be a lot of fun, and I hope that you'll join us. Did I miss anything? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you to everybody participating in Public Works staff, but I really wanted to throw out, last 2 years we've been remittance of doing this, but I did want to thank Green Diamond and Hemmingson Contracting. The last 3 years, this is the 3rd year they both provided us a tree. So Green Diamond scouts the tree, finds it, Hemmingson goes up there and collects it, and brings it to us. So I just want to give them the plug for doing, and there's probably lots of other people like Kelly's gonna think, but no, in all seriously, the last 2 years, we just have really not gone to the,
And Potter Real Estate also.
yes, there you go.
Yeah,
Yes.
they are helping run the entire side of the parade, so that's really great. And a huge shout out to our public works staff. Gil and Josh have been nailing it, preparing Christmas for our downtown, as well as the rest of the public works staff. So big thanks to all of them.
All right, thank you, directors. Yes, it's nothing better than the community coming together, and fingers crossed, weather is looking still pretty good for Friday night. And so we're keeping a close eye on that, but it is good weather this week for the paving. And the only other thing I have is special council meeting coming up a week from tomorrow. And we have, I believe, received 3 applications for the council appointment. And so, and correct me if I'm wrong, city clerk was the final number 3. So we will be conducting those interviews December 9th, 5:30, right here at Flint Center.
Good. Alrighty, before I adjourn us, one quick reminder to everybody out there listening on YouTube or even in person. Before you go to Amazon for your Christmas shopping, go hit up some of our local shops. Shop local, you guys. Give them the first try, please. And thank you. Till the next meeting.